Coming to you live from the Business RadioX studio in Woodstock, Georgia. This is Fearless Formula with Sharon Klein.
Welcome to Fearless Formula on Business RadioX, where we talk about the ups and downs of the business world and offer words of wisdom for business success. And I'm your host, Sharon Klein. And today on the show, we have the co-owner of Riverstone Corner Bistro, also known as the Cheers of Canton. It's a country-style, Southern comfort, American food, great restaurant in Canton, Georgia. Welcome to the show, Shelly Farrar. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I was telling you right before the show that I kind of did a little bit of cyber stalking. I like to prepare, but I actually didn't find much about you from before your restaurant. So I was wondering, it's you and your husband, Mike, correct, that own the restaurant?
We actually have J. Michael's Prime as well.
I saw that. I didn't know that either.
Yeah. And then it's my son. And Michael, and then my brother-in-law, and my cousin.
Oh,
now,
so you have
just
a whole
recently,
family.
It's added on through the years. Yes.
Well, it's worked, right?
Yes. It actually started as me and my son.
Oh, wow. No way.
Yeah. So my husband had P.F. Chang's. He was the market partner for the Southeast, and was there. And my son turned 19 and asked me to help him open up a restaurant.
So how did you come up with the concept of this restaurant?
We opened the deli first in Town Lake, and me and him had that. And then Dad came along when we went over there to look at locations in Canton, and it was bigger than a deli where we were. And we decided that we would kind of merge a concept that we were thinking of and do our lunch menu as the deli menu, and then the dinner menu as our Southern Comfort menu.
Did you have any restaurant experience before you got started in this?
Yeah. I started out with Taco Bell, and then
let's go back.
When I was 16, my first job, lovely brown polyester outfits.
Oh, I was at Winn-Dixie. Mine was light blue polyester, so it was amazing.
I bet you look better blue than I looked in brown.
No, I don't think anyone looked good in those outfits.
But and then I went from there from a small town Italian restaurant in my hometown in Ohio. Okay. And just was a hostess, and they like to call me Major D, but I was only 17.
But you were the Major D.
Yeah. And then I moved to Florida when I was by myself when I was 19. Just turned 19, just graduated and had a goal to get out of a small town in Ohio. Sure. And I started working at Chi-Chi's.
Oh, I know Chi-Chi's. Yeah.
That's where I met my husband the very first day.
Oh, that's so cute.
He said it was love at first sight.
That is too cute.
I lost a bet and had to take him out. So.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually really a sweet story.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, we were young. And then I went from Chi-Chi's to Chuggles to Chili's. Okay. So lots of restaurant experience. My husband was with Chi-Chi's, then Romana Macaroni Grill.
Oh, yeah.
And then P.F. Chang's. And I worked for Outback Corporate Office, actually, in Tampa as well.
So all restaurants. All restaurants all the time. So when your son approached you and said, let's do our own concept, you felt like you had the skills and enough background to really look into how to make this work.
I was shocked he wanted Mom to go into business
actually,
with
it's
him.
kind of sweet if you think about it. He was like, you.
It was very sweet. We had done a charity serving event because he worked for P.F. Chang's for my husband, and it was during Katrina. And me and him tag teamed and made the most money, and maybe that was his motivation, not sure, to finally invite me into it. But he came up with a business plan. He had 50% down. He was, we thought both our kids would run from the restaurant world, and they're both in it.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Okay, so when you were looking at a location, you found a place in Canton, but it was obviously a smaller restaurant at first. So how did you come up with the menu items? Like, what was your concept exactly?
We had we wanted to focus on some Southern comfort, even though we're not from the South, but we fell in love with the food. We went around to Charleston, and we went to New Orleans, and a lot of places, and experienced every shrimp and grits you could possibly have. And I'm not a grit person, but I like our shrimp and grits. And then just kind of, family recipes are a lot of our recipes. Like I said, the deli, a lot of our lunch items are from there. We created our own kind of ideas and R&D from just research and looking around and kind of trying to make it where it was different.
Exactly, right? To stand out.
Yeah. So, and then it was hit or miss. Some, and then some were, believe it or not, even though we're a Southern Comfort restaurant, we did things like, my husband's Italian Nani did, sausage, peppers, and onions and potatoes. And we still have that on our meal. That was her Southern meal.
Oh, wow.
With his dad's homemade, spicy mustard sauce.
But that's so cool because it's like a little bit of your family.
Yes.
Not just a menu that you decided will be, well, this is comfort food, this is fried green tomatoes and whatever, but you actually have your history.
Yeah, and we kind of like to evolve and change and be seasonal more so now than ever. And yeah, we like food. We like to eat.
Who doesn't? It's a universal. Well, I was looking a little bit about what had happened during the pandemic, because obviously that has hit so many business owners, and that's something we talk about on the show all the time. How did you manage the pandemic? And I saw that you had kept your drive-through open, which is so smart. How did that work for you?
Well, we actually never used the drive-through until the pandemic. That was locked off, and we never used it. And then my son, the day that we realized things were going to change, he was like, hey, I'm going to get a locksmith out here and see if we can open this drive-through. And then he also was like, as we went through it and we got the drive-through open, we didn't really have a real system, but we had a lot of very great employees that had worked for Hooters and other places that said, hey, we can put a clothesline up and use our clothes pins that we already had in the system, hang the tickets, keep track of it that way. We kind of, made it happen. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. So we had to lay off quite a bit of people in the very beginning, the first week or two. But by week 2, we brought almost everybody back that wanted to come back. Some wanted to wait a little while, of course. But because we were so busy with the grocery sales, because we also started doing online groceries. Because my son also, I like to give him a lot of credit because he deserves it. He was like, hey, I'm going to the grocery store and I can't find chicken and I can't find milk and I can't find bread. But I've reached out to our vendors and they're telling me I won't have a problem getting these items. So we did a grocery list. There's a lot of people with health issues and things like that, certain dietary restrictions, and they couldn't find these things. So we started doing groceries out of there as well.
People must have loved you.
The community kept us alive for sure. We loved them, and they definitely showed they loved us back. We cried every day from their generosity.
Oh, that's so kind.
They were very kind.
So many companies, so many restaurants didn't survive. So how clever of you to come up with sort of a unique way and a unique approach and a niche.
Like I mentioned, we were all in the family. We're all partners, and it was our livelihood. And if we had to close down that restaurant, that meant 4 families were out of jobs and out of work. And not to mention all of our employees, which some were pregnant and some worked, husbands and wives worked with us, and daughters and sons, and
the family to you.
Things. Yeah,
right?
all family. So we felt a huge responsibility to just make it happen. And we said if we're going to go down, we're going to go down helping people. So we spent a lot of time in prayer and spent a lot of time just trying to think of better ways to do it. And sold gallons and gallons of sangria and margarita mix that, I'm not going to lie, was probably our top sales.
I think everyone needed some help during that time.
Yes. I had to squeeze a lot of lime juice. So my muscles, my arms never look better.
So how has it been to work with family? Some people find it a really huge challenge, but clearly you've been able to find a way to make this a success.
I am surprised that we all still talk to each other. And believe it or not, we just bought a cabin together as another adventure. We actually we're getting ready to go on vacation together, like all 25 of us, all the families.
Holy cow.
I feel very blessed and fortunate. Don't get me wrong, we have our fights. I mean, I work with my husband and my son and my brother-in-law. Frank's pretty perfect. I don't ever get mad at him. But, we kind of through the years realized what strengths and weaknesses we all have and kind of respect that. We've kind of we have a meeting, and actually we have a meeting in this space, usually quarterly, kind of just as partners. Let's talk, let's fight it out, let's figure out what we're going to do, what we're going to change, if we're going to change anything. I like to throw a lot of things at them. It drives them nuts. I am spur of the moment, like can think of my feet really fast, and they like list and they like.
Really?
Yeah.
But I
drive them nuts.
I've talked to so many business owners about what it's like to have different personalities that can be very complementary. Mm-hmm. There are some people who are such people. Mm-hmm. And I think it takes a village, really.
It really does. I mean, my husband was not really a people person when he started, but he is so now. I've known him for 35 years, and he was not a people person in the beginning. And now he's probably a better people person than I am. And he's, very outgoing. He's very touching with the employees. We have a lot of sons and daughters, and we're getting ready to have our first grandbabies.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations.
So I can't even imagine what that's going to be like.
It's wonderful. Yeah. I have 3. They're nice. The best ever.
No, that I'm excited about. I mean, he's a softie. We'll probably be very broke.
But in July 2021, I saw that you moved from your smaller location that had the drive-through to a larger location. So can you tell me what that was like?
Yeah, actually, that might have been when the plan was to move, but because of the pandemic, we got slowed down a little bit.
Gotcha.
We moved over there last year.
Oh, okay.
January of last year.
Gotcha.
Well, that was a funny story in itself. We brought on a managing partner, Rebecca, John, that works for us. Okay. She was working for my husband at P.F. Chang's, and we've knew her for years, and she's a family friend. And we had all these plans of this big opening and the big opening party. And the week before, we were slated to open and close it. We closed our doors January 2nd. We opened January 11th. That meant training, moving everybody over, hiring 3 times more people.
Wow.
And my husband and my brother-in-law and my son all got COVID.
No, at the same time.
The first time they ever had it happened to be
gosh.
that week. So, actually, not my brother-in-law, I'm sorry. So it was me, my brother-in-law, and Rebecca that had to move the whole other restaurant
all by yourselves.
over, close it off, clean it up, get it over there. But we made it happen because of just basically our employees jumped in. They did. They were like, we're making this happen. They were more excited, I think, than we were to have a nice, clean, big building with a big bar and a real bar.
A real bar.
Yeah, our other bar was 7 people. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. It was like a little tight we made the best of it and we made it happen. But this was my son and husband designed the whole bar and kitchen, and to kind of make it with our employees in mind for what they sacrificed working for us the last 7 years before that.
So did you have sort of a dream for your life that did not include a restaurant? And then when your son asked you, let's do this together, do you sort of look back at your life and go, I can't even believe I own this restaurant and our lives are like this?
Well, I had a lot of dreams. I'm a dreamer, and I've been a real estate agent. I'm still a realtor. I get bored easily, so I do a lot of things, entrepreneur-wise on the side, just because I don't sleep and I like to keep going. We joke about it. In fact, there's a mural and there's a lot of flying pigs in our restaurant, and people don't understand why. And I get those as gifts, and we did a mural as it because I always said I'd open a restaurant with my family when pigs fly. And here we are.
A bunch of pigs are flying as we speak.
Yes, but I'm grateful and thankful, and it just goes to show you don't know your own dreams. They can evolve and change at any moment, and people that come into your lives can impact.
Yeah, because think about how you're talking about all of these people that you worked with in the past from your history are all part of your current life, which says a lot about the kind of people you are. A lot of people burn bridges when they move on or never speak to people again, and you're able to keep these relationships going and then have them in your current life.
Yeah, the funny thing is, like my husband, through the years, because he was, kind of harder than what he is now, he has several employees that come back, and even though they're on to bigger and better things, they constantly say, thank you for making me the person I am, and I wouldn't be as successful as I was if it wasn't for you. That is our greatest compliment. We understand people are going to go on, move, grow, and go on to different things, and we encourage it and embrace it. But even when we've had to fire people, and
the worst.
It's not fun, and we still love them, and that's what we say to them. We love you, but strike 3. You got to go for now. Yeah. Some have come back after that and have been incredible, but it really is. I think if you're fair and you're consistent and you truly care, I think it comes back tenfold no matter what you're doing in
life.
People
can feel it. They can feel the sincerity too, I think.
Yes.
And what a compliment to have people think of him as being, your husband, as being like a challenging personality, but they needed it too, and they benefited from it.
Well, we always believed in tough love as parenting, and I'm very proud of both my boys. My other son has a restaurant with his girlfriend in Cartersville.
Oh, no way.
And he's an executive chef, and she's the owner. And
what's their restaurant? We'll give him a shout out.
Okay, we'll give a shout out. Table 20. It's amazing.
20.
And,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Though.
So it's
I'll have to take a visit.
You will. He makes everything from scratch and really pushes everything to the limit. And they do a great job, and I'm very proud of them.
I was looking at your menu and how you've got these really cool things, these adult milkshakes and cocktails in mason jars, and seafood and homemade desserts and craft beers. I mean, you kind of cover so many really wonderful things that people love.
We try, and they like to tell us when we need to add more things.
No. Do they really? Thank you for the constructive
and I do
criticism.
the same thing, but that's why my family's like, Shelly, we only have so much fryer space, or Shelly, we only have so much walk-in space. Like, what can we get rid of? And then when we try to get rid of things, people get mad too. So, we're like, we just try to, that's why we're trying to have a little fun with it seasonal and changing up things at least a little bit.
So I saw that you have a vegetarian, lots of vegetarian options, but you also have a gluten-free menu. Was that a challenge for you to develop?
It was in the beginning, because 10 years ago, we didn't really know what that was, or when the products and the flours and the breading and all that kind of stuff was totally different. It's evolved, obviously, with the needs and everything, but it's something we're very proud of. As we haven't gotten as advanced in the vegan and the vegetarian as we'd like, especially the vegan. We're working on it, though. But we have a lot of friends and family that are, vegan and vegetarian. So we will create something. Like if it's not on our menu, we, just say, hey, tell us your likes, your dislikes, and what you can have and not have. Because I'm not, not as knowledgeable as I should be in the vegan aspects. I'm getting better, but we still need a little more work on that. But the gluten-free thing, I mean, our menu, almost our whole menu can be gluten-free.
Wow, that's awesome. So anyone could come in and be able to find something that is suitable for them.
I believe so. We have a huge menu.
I noticed that. I was there not long ago and I sat on the rooftop and it was so nice.
Oh,
it was just beautiful.
Gordon Ramsay would be so mad at us. He would say, cut this menu in half. But
I didn't know that he does that. He likes like just a little bit.
He only, any professional would probably say you guys have way too much on your menu, but we can't, like I said,
he must hate Cheesecake Factory. I can't decide anything.
I know. I only look at the first 2 pages of Cheesecake Factory and then I have to say I'll limit it there.
So what has been something that's been the most surprising to you as you've gone through this journey of opening this restaurant?
I think the community and the relationships. That is definitely the most rewarding. And also, you're always like, yes, you love hospitality and you want to take care of the people that walk through your doors and you hope and pray they like what you do. And but I think the relationships between our teams, because they really are family, and also the relationship between us and the community. I've met so many great friends and that are our regulars. And I think I never really saw that coming. I never really thought, I'm gonna work and I'm gonna get to know these people and I'm gonna get to know them on this personal level and we're gonna hang out after work and do things, or not really after work because I work late, but go do things. And it's just such a huge extended family that I'm so grateful for.
Would you say that you've learned like a big lesson from maybe a mistake that you made or something that you wish you knew beforehand?
I've made a lot of mistakes.
Oh, me too, girl. We could be here all day.
And I continue to make mistakes. But I do try to learn and grow from them. I think in the beginning, those Yelp reviews and those different things, I would take it so personally. And
it's your heart, though. It's your heart.
I would go home. I literally would cry. I would throw up.
Oh my
husband would like to wake me up reading them in bed.
Oh, Lord.
It's like, I finally said, please stop reading them to me. I can't take it anymore. Because especially in the beginning, oh man, did we get a lot of bad reviews.
Oh, wow.
A lot of good reviews too, but a lot of bad reviews. And it's funny how you somehow don't give credit enough to your good reviews, and you let the bad reviews suck you in or change you or upset you.
It's always that way, though. The criticism is like what I remember most about things, not someone who liked what I did.
Yeah, I didn't really have I thought I did because I had 3 brothers and I'm all around guys, but I guess I didn't have as thick skin when it came to attacking, I guess, you personally.
Yeah.
Your
son too, right? Because it's like you're protective of what your son is doing too. It's probably very complex.
Yeah, it was interesting, but also I think I had to step back and take a look at myself and work on myself, because why was that getting me so upset?
Interesting.
If I felt confident about what I'm doing, if I did the best if I could do, and it's never going to be perfect, but if I could learn from it and learn from them, not everybody delivers criticisms the same way. And I also had, I'm a people pleaser. So to hear I didn't please somebody, was so devastating to me. But I think now I can listen to people, and I can also kind of, especially the ones I know now, some of the worst critics are my favorite people now. I just, I had to get yelled at by them a couple times, and I didn't yell back, but I probably got a little snippy.
Well, they did tough love with you then.
Definitely. Some of the toughest love I've ever had.
I like that you're still together with your husband, even though he was reading like Yelp reviews and picking you up. Like, it wasn't a deal breaker. That's awesome. So how did you also have your sister restaurant, J. Michael Prime? How did that come about?
Well, we used to go to, it was a beautiful building that we loved to go to. We went to Winchester's back in the day.
I remember.
And that was our date night. We lived right down the road from there. I always loved the building. Never dreamed we could have the building. Never did that ever come to mind ever in play. But we were driving by, and my son's always looking for new restaurants for sale on, sites. And he was like, Mom, that's available. This is how much they want. And besides that restaurant, many other ones. And I was like, we don't need another restaurant. I can't spread myself any thinner. Yeah. But then I was driving by one day, and I was like, I told my husband, I think God wants us to have this building. He's like, it's too big. It's down a hill. It's never going to work. It didn't work. And I was like, okay. And a little while later, 6 months later or so, he goes, I think we need to have that building. And long story short, we put an offer in. They said no. We put another offer in. They said no. A year later, they came to us and said, if you still want the building, we'll take your last offer. Meanwhile, the bank had come to us and said, if you want the money, we want to give you the money, all within like 48 hours of each other. And so, so now we finally have it. And yes, I still love the building. I still love it's still down a hill, and it doesn't have enough parking.
Really well. I've been by there where it's just been very busy, and people have talked about it as being like a really incredible steak place. Can you describe what this restaurant, sort of the ambiance and the menu is like?
Well, the name came after J. Michael's, came from Mike's brothers, John, and then Mike, my husband, Michael. When they were little, they wanted to open a steak and seafood place, and they actually wrote that name down. Like, I think we still have the notepad when they were like they're 4 years apart. So I think Mike was 11 and John was 7.
They wrote the name J. Michael Prime?
Not Prime.
But J. Michael?
J. Michael's,
oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And so when we're trying to figure out a name, we're like, well, our son's name's Michael, and he's a partner, and John, that. So it just made sense to go with that name. And then Prime just sounded fancy, so we went with that. No,
it's so true, though. But it works. It's obviously it works. It's successful. And so how is it running 2 places, or at least being involved in 2 places?
Yeah, and, always in the beginning, it's always harder than later when you open up a new place. So J. Michael's is, we opened that, and we spent a lot of time over there for the first year. And RCB was kind of already running itself, thankfully. And then we moved into a new building, and that was like starting over again with RCB. But like I said, we have such a great family dynamic that we always said, if we're going to own restaurants, we have to be in the building. At least one owner has to be in the building at all times. So whether it's Frank, and we consider Chef Elliott, an owner as well, Mike, John, me, and then we have Uncle Tom, who's our bonus, partner. So we just always try to make a commitment to be one place or the other at all times. And then now, we just like I said, we've grown into this amazing team of 140 employees.
Would you ever have thought?
No, when we opened the RCB, we had 10 employees. So it has
what is
grown
it like
a lot.
to manage that many people?
It can be challenging, but we really do just have people want to complain about young people all the time about how they don't have work ethic and how they're lazy and we just don't have that. And maybe the lazy ones don't come to get a job.
True.
But the ones we have, I mean, some of these young people coming up, like we always get more and more impressed with the young people of today. And
I need to hear this. This is good because I hear a lot of the opposite. So
No.
this is nice to hear.
Yeah, the groups we had, like we've just had 10 graduates at RCB and I think 8 at J. Michael's. I mean, people started with us when they're 15.
Wow.
And we have several. We just, we reward them for their year and anniversaries, and we have quite a few 10-year employees. We have a lot of 5-year employees and 7 and above, and even people that go on to have babies and get married. They come back and pick up shifts, and they do things for college. I mean, I have one other girl's just got accepted in UGA graduate school. She's, here for the summer for a little bit. Take her while I can get her. I always tell everybody, I was like, I don't care if you want to work 1 day a week, 1 day a month. If you come in, you do your job and, smile, then you're welcome here however many shifts you want. But I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some employees that come in and you're like, they've never been told they did anything wrong.
Interesting. Really? How does it go when you tell them that something?
Sometimes they cry, sometimes they quit, sometimes they go home and tell mom. But then they come back and then it's like they all of a sudden have this new challenge and they excel. And it's amazing. Like we have people running our window right now, 17, 18-year-old kids. And my husband even said, I'm not going to lie, they push me aside and they actually do really well. He goes, they might be better than me now, which he would never admit ever. So,
but how interesting that the effect that you're having, like the legacy that you're leaving too for these people who are new and never really had experience, like what you're teaching them and what that will mean for their lives. It's major.
We hope so, but we learn from them too. Like they'll come in and go, well, what if we did this? I was like, well, try it. Let's see what happens. And
do they encourage you to use social media more? Like I know that's such a big deal regarding marketing and having you stand out. And how does social media play into your restaurants?
They are more into, I think it's TikToks and Instagrams, which I'm still not abreast with yet. I did have to teach myself the Facebook thing back in the day, and I do a lot. I do all of our social media right now with bartenders and things like that. I do get them involved with when they create a drink and they want to post it, and then I share it. Like we do it through that.
That's great.
I don't want people to know per se their first and last names because of safety. I'm very, I guess, protective of that situation. So I'd rather have it posted through our social media as a page, not as them personally.
Got you. So that makes sense because what you're trying to do is promote the restaurant. And even though you have an employee, you're not trying to put them in any kind of risk, which these days it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want people to be able to find their first and last name. Now they might, I will say, come see Kelsey or come see, Belle or, whatever. And they can do it on their own stuff. Because I'm all about, having them build their own regulars and, and building repeat customers. But I still try to. There's sometimes I've had to also coach and teach and preach and have a shoulder on people that, got a little too naive with some customers and, wondered, why it went sour.
Interesting. Well, you've got to manage all these different personalities. I can't imagine.
Yeah, and they're, like I said, they're our kids. So, and we always tell them we don't expect you to be perfect. We just, hope you'll learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, well, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you've really accomplished a tremendous amount, right, in 10 years or so. So how did you manage what I think is sort of a natural fear of failure or fear of the unknown? Because that stops so many people in the business world.
Well, like I said, when Mike was making very, very good money in the corporate world. And he just gotten to a point where he's like, I think I'm going to have a heart attack if I stay with this company any longer, any company. He goes, I think I need to step away and do something else. And of course, we didn't want him to have a heart attack. But we were kind of like, if we're not, and we had worked very hard at becoming debt free and having some money, and we didn't want to have to get investors or have to, because I think that just puts more and more pressure on you.
Stressful.
And so we thought we'd start out small. This was an existing restaurant. It was already furnished. It already had equipment. All we really had to do was some cleanup and inventory. My husband, being the number guy, also understands you got to have, some money to last you a year, because it's going to take a good year to get a restaurant off the building and you get the reputation and get it up and going. But we also didn't want to put any more money than what we had. And we just kind of went in it with like, if we're going to do it, we better do it now. We're not getting any younger. As far as him moving away and stepping out in faith, we spent a lot of time in prayer. And we were just like, there's no time like the present. And I said, we're homeless, but at least we tried it. And I think people just need to get out there and do it. And what's the worst that can happen? You have to go get a job. You have to go, go back to what you were doing. But if you don't try it, I think that's going to be your biggest regret.
I think that's the biggest lesson that I've been learning lately, is that when I don't take a chance and time goes by, it's another holiday, it's another year, another birthday, and I haven't done what I believed I would, there's a pain there that you feel. And I think that regret is almost worse than the fear of actually trying.
I definitely think that. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of funny now because we're like, okay, why not? It's like, guess we'll just see what happens next.
Is there anything you're not afraid of it then anymore? Because you really did handle the pandemic in a way that was so unique and helpful and gave you that sort of like bridge to when the pandemic ended.
I think everybody has their thing. My thing is, even though like I don't go to church every Sunday, but faith is something that, and I failed at a lot of things a lot of times. I'm not really afraid of failing because I'm really good at it.
Gosh. That should be a country song. That's hilarious.
So I think it's like, what's the worst going to happen? Like I said, I'm homeless, or, I have to start over, or, I've got to try something else, or I got to go another avenue.
So you don't have that perfection sort of thought process. Like it has to be perfect. I can't fail because then I lose face in front of people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm so not that person.
So your personality lends well to this then.
Thank God. I mean, my husband, my son, they're my family, they're all OCD and I'm so not. But I'm also, I guess, my husband's always like, you're not afraid of anything. You're not afraid to try anything. You're not. And I'm not. It doesn't mean I try a lot of things that don't work, but I like to learn new things all the time. And I also like to challenge myself. And yeah, it's like, it's not like but I guess I'm not really into material things. So it doesn't matter to me if I have to lose some material things. So maybe that's part of it's okay.
Well, it clearly works for you because in 2022, you won a Traveler's Choice Award. And then 2023, currently, you've got the Diner's Choice Award for Open Table. What are those awards like? It must be so affirming.
They mean a lot because they come from the customers. That's how we evaluate our success, is what the customers think. Like we don't do print. We don't write articles. And even doing something like this is like I said, this is only the second time I've done this. And
you're doing so great. We're almost done. You're doing so great.
We don't really like to talk about ourselves. We like to kind of talk about the community and what can we do for the community? What can we do to make this place a better place to live in for our guests, for our employees, and for our families.
You also offer catering, I saw.
Yes. Yeah, we do a lot of catering. We do, a lot of deliveries and caterings. We'll do full service catering and just, platters and things like that.
So do you ever take time off? Like I know you just said you had a cabin or you're about to go on vacation. What is it like to leave?
This is the first year that we've actually taken, I wouldn't say we take time off because when you have things, you're never off. Like I'm doing all the social media and my husband's always on the computer, and because we've built so many relationships with regulars, they like to tell us when we're doing things right and wrong, and they'll privately message me and phone me. the big joke is, people will go in the restaurant and they're like, oh, well, they said Shelly said.
Oh gosh.
So I've gotten to a point where I just tell I go, just say Shelly said. They love that, and my whole thing is I say, if anybody comes in as mean to you, they're not my friends. So if they say they're Shelly's friends, if they're mean to you, I promise you they're not my friends, because my friends would never be mean. They would secretly, they would tell me behind the scenes, like, hey, just because I care about you, it wasn't on par. But
interesting.
Yeah.
So what would you like to see happen in the next 5 or 10 years? Would you like to have another restaurant, or would you just like to continue to grow this one? Or both of them?
If you ask me and you ask my partners, there's totally different things. I'm just kidding. Now, my husband and son, and I think they're always looking for the next venture. I think I would like to kind of transition myself into behind the scenes, and we're looking into bottling some things. And I really like the mixology side of the bar, creating new things and doing things like online that we want to do some of our sauces and our that's really my husband and son's dream, but I'm okay with like helping to market that kind of thing. And really, I don't know, like I say my kids, my son and my husband want to do that, but I love an idea of a wine and dessert bar and a venue. I love doing special events, so maybe something like that.
So the future is bright.
Or
maybe I'll be in Publix.
Or I'll mentor someone else to do it.
Yeah, really. No, I was thinking I'll be in Publix and see some of your sauces or wines or whatever,
Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
hopefully.
you never know. It's so. What's cool is that you really just let life unfold for you and not try to control it. You just do the best you can in the moment, and then what's meant to happen is actually happening.
Yeah, well, my husband has more of an agenda, but yes, they do better. They're better at that, but we also don't get stressed about it. It's like if the timing is trusting in the timing. What doors are going to open next, and not be closed-minded about it. And that's why when you ask me that, it's like, I can say that, but now we just bought a cabin for an Airbnb, and we bought another property to build one, and so there's things that, and that's still part of hospitality, because we want to take that to a whole new level when people come to stay there. So,
well, you never know.
Never know. Who knows?
Well, how could
I could just move in there. It'd be okay.
Where's Shelly?
Yeah, I am there a lot. I've been decorating. So.
But it's so fun. And I think that's really huge, because the energy that you have about it is fun, is like joy and fun and helping the community, not just thinking about yourself and what we can get out of it, but actually having a place that creates an atmosphere, that creates memories for people, that you're affecting not just someone's experience having dinner, but the employees that you have and what that can mean for their lives. It's like so fun.
Yeah, I don't think I would do anything that wasn't fun, because I think it's important that you have fun doing what you do, no matter what it is, but I think you've got to have a light spirit about it and go with the flow and know that everything's not going to be perfect.
Really.
Ever.
Well, you've made this really fun. I've really appreciated you coming and chit-chatting with me about your history, and I have an appreciation for your restaurant that I hadn't before, and so I hope everyone who's listening has the same experience too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me here, and honored that you would even think of me. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. How could people get in touch with you, or what would you say is the best way for them to find out more information?
They can go onto our website, so jmichaelsprime.com or rcbcanton.com.
Got you. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening to Fearless Formula on Business Radio X. And again, this is Sharon Klein, reminding you that with knowledge and understanding, we can all have our own fearless formula. Have a great day.